trauma. Basically, what they found was there was a lack of positive ways to cope with current problems and emotional pains from the past. So individuals with an eating disorder or eating issues would use food or not eating or compulsive food behaviours to manage these negative feelings. Unfortunately, this then becomes a vicious cycle as they feel even worse for acting out with food, and it causes more depression, anxiety, stress, and low self-esteem, causing them to repeat the same damaging behaviour again and again. And I could really personally myself relate to this, because when I felt anxious and worried that I was going to lose my job, that financial fear, was when I started to restrict my food or eat and be sick. And then when I went through 5 years later, losing temporarily, thank goodness, but losing my savings because the person I lent the money to in this business deal disappeared. So when that happened for those few months, I was literally beside myself. I started making myself a cake every night, eating cake all night, and then being sick, and then waking up the next morning and thinking, why have I done this? How could I do this? And then doing the same thing again, because it was my way of coping with negative feelings. I wanted to punish myself. I wanted to punish my behaviour. I wanted to hurt myself. I wanted to also at the same time nourish myself, because I was in that illusion, making a cake is nice for me. So it was two. It was like making a cake is nice for me, and then it was stuffing it down when I was eating it, just wanting to numb out those feelings, just wanting to escape, just wanting to not feel how awful I felt. And it becomes a vicious cycle, because that low self-esteem then plagued me, the guilt plagued me, I knew I was not loving myself, and yet it continued. So it's really important, if you're looking for support, to have someone that gives you good, positive coping skills. Someone who's been through it, someone who knows exactly how to switch negative coping skills to positive coping skills. Or doing the research and finding ways yourself. It's key to look at, how can I manage really stressful situations? How can I manage really negative situations in a different way? And I really do believe in finding healthy, empowering alternatives. What alternatives can you give yourself to be able to deal with difficult times? Some of mine are, I'm now addicted to yoga, because it's a gentle exercise for my body. It really helps my mind. I do meditation. I love herbal teas. My favourite at the moment is Egyptian licorice. It tastes amazing, from Yogi. I absolutely adore it. And there's other things that I have switched that are healthy for me instead of my old food behaviours. So ask yourself, how can I positively cope with this? And exercise, whatever form of exercise, has been shown to work like an antidepressant, to really boost not only the serotonin levels in the brain, but also to boost someone's confidence. So if you're not exercising, then just start walking, even if it's just for 15 minutes a day, doing something to help you get into feeling better about yourself. The next one is socio-cultural ideals. The media's obsession with having the perfect body and the promotion of staying slim and trim can contribute to unrealistic body ideals in people with and without eating disorders. An increase in access to global media and technological advances, being able to modify photos to enhance looks, give a skewed perception of attainable beauty standards in modern society. A researcher looked into the Western TV impact that it had in rural Fiji when it was introduced in 1998. He noted that the response of adolescents to the introduction of Western television was concerning. The research found that the new media exposure resulted in significant preoccupations with body size, shape, weight, leading to purging behaviour to control the weight, and also many to have a negative self-image. This study clearly illustrates the vulnerability to images and values imported from the media. However, as not everyone exposed to the media develops clinical eating disorders or eating problems, it's likely that such exposure can affect individuals who are already at risk, who perhaps already have low self-esteem, perfectionism, and other personality traits that are linked to eating disorders. Or maybe they have that gene that we looked at in the genetics. Either way, it's worth bearing in mind that if you do find media images disturbing, if you do find yourself comparing yourself with other people, that you take some action to stop that. And I'm going to be talking about body dysmorphia in just a moment, which is really important as well in being aware of. The 7th cause is dieting. Now this is alarming, I warn you. Researchers found that dieting is the most common precipitating factor in the development of an eating disorder. And given the fact that in the US, more than $60 billion is spent every year on diets and weight loss products, the increase in levels of eating disorders is no surprise. Because eating disorders are caused by dieting, it's no wonder that those who diet continue to buy more and more dangerous weight loss products and follow plans that keep them stuck in the cycle of eating disorders. Dieting has a very high failure rate. 95 to 98% of the people end up putting on the weight and often more weight than they did when they were started within 1 to 5 years. And yet we are literally marketed to death on weight loss schemes, losing weight fast, and this leads to more obesity, more health problems, and eating disorders. Restrictive dieting is not effective for weight loss because it's an unhealthy behaviour for anyone, and especially in children and adolescents. And this is where treatment for food addiction and eating disorders must be careful, because if you are already genetically predisposed to eating disorders and you're suffering from low self-esteem, or you're suffering from trauma and negative self-image, then this can be the catalyst, dieting, for heightened obsessions about weight, body shape and food. So you're probably going to guess what I'm going to say right here. The solution is to clearly have a strong sense of self-love, where you won't put your body through an extreme diet. Guilt and shame are common in those who diet because they feel that they are weak-willed when they give in to cravings and eat outside rigid rules. Dieting has been linked to higher rates of eating disorders, anxiety, depression, increased health problems. So what is the answer, you may be thinking, if I need to lose weight or if someone I love needs to lose weight? Well, the answer is, and I'm going to be creating lots more podcasts on this, so do subscribe to the show and stay tuned for this, on mindful eating. Now, mindful eating, and I'm going to be going over it in detail, as I said, coming up, but mindful eating is where you literally really slow down your eating, and you take each bite and you put your fork or spoon down, because if you're still holding your fork or spoon or knife, then you're in the future. We don't want you to be in the future when you're eating, so you've got to be in the present. And what happens is, when you eat in this way, you eat slower, which gives your body a far greater chance of telling you that you're full, of recognizing that you're full. So it gives that signal that you're full. And it also helps you to be aware of what you're eating and to stop eating emotionally, because you take time out, you sit down, you prepare your meal and eat it lovingly. This kind of peaceful eating is amazing. And this is what I do when people come to me to break free of their bulimia, anorexia, binge-eating disorder, food addiction, any other type of eating problem. It really, really works for all types of eating disorders. Just to really enjoy, connect to the food, connect to the source of the food. If you're eating vegetables, be grateful and thankful to the farmer, that kind of thing. Just really appreciating, where has your food come from, how has it got to you the way that it's got to you, all the different people involved in that process of eating that food. This is what I do with people, and just this eating slower really can make such a huge difference. The next one is body dysmorphia disorder, BDD. Now, I added this in because it heavily links to eating disorders. Individuals with eating disorders commonly suffer from body dysmorphia, displaying an overtly negative body image or self-esteem. And it's not uncommon for a person with eating disorders to compare their body and their physical appearance with others. And this is what body dysmorphia is. Now, you may be listening to this and thinking, well, everybody's probably got body dysmorphia disorder. So let me explain the difference. There's a difference between not liking something about the way you look. However, if you have body dysmorphia, then you will obsess about this several times a day. Maybe as much as 2 hours a day. So if you're thinking about this perceived flaw for at least 2 hours a day, then it's a chance you have body dysmorphia. Another signal is where you go to excessive lengths to hide your body parts, to camouflage, to stay away from people being seen. This can also be a sign. Or when it affects other areas of your life, where it affects your social life, your relationship life, your career. This is where it's time to really reach out and get support. And when anyone comes to me with body dysmorphia, the first thing that I do is get them listening to my self-esteem boosting meditation, self-love hypnotherapy track. And you can download that for free on my website, body-nicola-beer.com. I'm going to put the link along with the show. It's just nicolabeer.com and then it's /love, and you can download it. And I also have my self-love audio program. Now, my self-love audio program also really helps people to transform their relationship with themselves. It's a step-by-step 8-week program where you can truly build that relationship with yourself, to have higher self-esteem, to have higher confidence, to change things. And it's not just something that's telling you to look in the mirror and tell yourself that you love yourself, because most people will find that too difficult and it's often not deep enough. It's practical steps, practical actions, and I hope you can tell by now that I am a down-to-earth person and I do like helping people in a way that makes sense. And then the last one I wanted to mention is self-harm. In some cases, the cause of eating disorders can be an attempt to inflict harm, punish oneself, either for trauma or a perceived character defect or physical flaws. And this was my pattern for my eating disorder for many years. I was so angry at my mum for always shouting at me. Her constant criticism used to get to me. Because I was so angry at her, and then angry at my dad for leaving, I didn't know what to do with all these negative emotions. And I couldn't show it to my mum because I would get it in the neck even more. And I couldn't show it to my dad because my dad was already moving away and I was worried that I'd lose him even more. So instead, what I did was turn the anger inwards. And I began constantly criticising myself. And I used to use food to punish myself. So if I lost money, I'd use food to either starve or to binge eat in a disgusting way where I was not loving at all, or I was bulimic. But more times than not, it started actually with me starving myself. When anything didn't go right in my life, I would starve myself. I could only eat when I was happy, because I didn't feel I deserved to eat if things weren't working out in my life. So I used food as a reward if things were going right, and as a punishment if things weren't. And the irony is, what I really needed most in those times, when I was going through a difficult time, was not violence with food, stuffing or starving, but actually what I really needed was loving, nourishing, home-cooked meals for myself, giving myself great ingredients and really taking care of myself. And I did the opposite. So this is also what I really believe in helping people to do if there's an element to self-harm. It's about nurturing yourself through food, loving yourself through food. And that means snapping out of the illusion that unhealthy foods are loving, because they're not loving, and getting into loving special food with yourself. So based on these very different causes, it's clear to me that one thing is ultimately required when it comes to eating disorder treatment or overcoming eating problems and eating issues. And that's the ability to love yourself and to have a loving, supportive community. Ideally of people that know exactly what it's like to be a binge eater, a bulimic, or a non-eater. And if you're looking for any further support, then do feel free to reach out to me. You can take advantage of